All right, here playing some historic best of 3 Merfolk. Still running the deck that we've tweaked to beat the control and mid-range decks that are prevalent in the meta post OTJ. Still having some decent results against Wizards deck, running about 50% overall, and so able to compete reasonably well. Bouncing around in the 300s right now in Mythic over the last couple of days, playing against some interesting decks in the meta. Okay, playing against a diamond player here, Moro. Let's see if we played them before. We have not played against Moro before. They've got no companion out to give us a hint at what deck they might be on, and a pretty generic avatar. So knowing that, if we keep this, we can only cast the Silvergill Adept, and we're on the draw. That would give us a chance to hit 4 draws before we're strung out and can't cast anything. I think this is a keep, but it is a little bit risky. Let's see what kind of deck they're on. Elves or ramp? We're hoping for ramp. All right, we'll play out the Botanical Sanctum first. Second Silvergill Adept gives us lots of chances to draw into land. I'm going to attack with the Llanowar Elves. Another... Ooh, that's looking more and more like elves. All right, we're going to play a Mutavault and get a Silvergill Adept out there. We're probably going to end up playing the Svellion next turn or holding up to cast the Tishanas. So let's reveal Svellion here. All right, with a draw of a Glassful Mimic, we'll probably end up playing a second Silvergill Adept unless we think that Tidebinder is going to be meaningful. Oh, Garenbrig looks like elves. We are in big trouble if that's the case, although this isn't the worst start from elves. Oh, just a great big stompy deck. That's not what I expected at all. I wonder if he's going to fling that at us. So at this point, I think we keep Silvergills as a chump blocker, hope he can't trample and double the damage or something like that until we can get a Svellion on the board to stick. If we play Glassful Mimic and survive, then we can get into Coco trying to hit a Trickster. So let's do that plan. We'll play another Silvergill, revealing that Svellion again. Draw whatever card this is and pass the turn. And hope. More of a Green Devotion build than anything. Nissa. This is an interesting take. I was expecting more creatures. Gargaroth makes sense. I assume we're going to get attacked here by that Gigantosaurus. If he swings with that land, do we trade 2 Silvergills for a land here? It's a little cheeky, but I think we do. It represents a creature and 2 mana. So we will just accept that and take the 10 damage. We're counting on the Coco to dig us out of our hole anyway. So we're going to pass the turn here. If he activates Nissa before combat, we're going to hit that first, or try and hit a Tidebinder off of the Coco, and potentially a Trickster. We might end up chump blocking. We will see what we draw. All right, so we got a Svellion, a Reed, and a Merfolk Trickster. If we tap down the Gigantosaurus, Svellion can block the land. Yeah, so we'll do those 2. And we'll let the Gargaroth through. We're still not in great shape here, but that gives us something to start to build off of. We can't really attack with that forest this turn. We didn't have a chance to shut off Nissa. All right, and given that this is a trampler, we're not going to bother blocking here. Drawing into another collected company would go a long way. Merfolk Trickster doesn't really do it for us. Okay, so looking at it, it was an interesting start, but otherwise a pretty standard green ramp deck, actually. I don't often see turn 3 Gigantosaurus out of the green ramp decks I'm used to playing against. Okay, they had another Cavalier, get to draw off of that Kiora. I think we're pretty much dead here. We're going to play it out to see what else is in their deck. The more we know, the better off we're going to be for game 2 and 3. So we're seeing another Storm the Festivals. We'll get to see another decent chunk of their deck. Looking through here, normalish stuff other than the Gigantosaurus, Nissa, and Karn as potential targets for our Phyrexian Revoker. Another Storm the Festival. They're going to cast whatever they drew off of that Kiora. Oh, Aronas the Indomitable. Lots of spicy creatures here. All right. So we don't really have much that's going to do us any good. So let's draw a card and see if we can draw into something or if we can get them to make a weird mistake. We're going to attack that Nissa. If I were them, I would probably let this through, but a lot of people will just block it. Oh, he really wants to block it. All right. So we're not going to kill any of these things. I guess giving the Gargaroth a block is not ideal, but we needed to draw a card to see if there's anything here. We're going to make Svelian indestructible by just tapping and activating that Mutavault. So he can go ahead and do his 21 damage to Svelian, and she will survive. Not going to do us any good for next turn. And we'll play the Botanical Sanctum so we don't have to discard and pass. Really, here we're just playing for information. I don't think there are or were any outs. But like I said, the more we know, the better off we're going to be. That's what we're hoping for. A Karn the Great Creator will show us the win cons that they're on. Got Mindslaver to death the other day. But we'll see if they're on the normal Chroma's Memorial or Portal to Phyrexia plan. Really wish Arena had a pass until combat option or something along those lines, so I didn't have to keep monitoring and letting these spells resolve. But it is what it is. Let's see what shenanigans he can get up to with 33 mana on a Nykthos. Not activating Karn before a Storm the Festival is an odd choice. Probably tells me that they're a little green with the deck. Because that would mean if they hit another Karn the Great Creator, that they wouldn't be able to use it without wasting the one that they have. God Pharaoh's statue at this point, not going for the instant kill options. Interesting. See what else they're going to cast. Hopefully we're helping this green player enjoy their game. They get to do all the green-like things. Do all the mana and all the creatures and just keep doing their thing. Maybe they'll go totally crazy and mill themselves out. You never know. All right, we're giving everybody trample with Ronus. I wonder, is he going to do over 100 damage here? Probably. No, maybe not quite 100. There's lots of stuff that he casts this turn. We're going to let it go through. More fun to play it out and see where we get to. This tells us that Eaten by Piranhas, Tidebinder are going to be great in game 2. Sleep, obviously, with this sort of board state is going to be excellent. Only a couple of Llanowar Elves as far as mana dorks. I'm still going to end up bringing in the Vidalian Mindsingers, but knowing that they're going to be less effective, we will have to plan for that when we get to actually playing the game out. All right, I'm not even going to block here to see how much damage they can pump in. Minus 49. That's a pretty good hit. All right, let's go to sideboards. So against Green Ramp, we need to be able to deal with the big creatures, especially they have a lot of utility creatures. We're going to bring in the Eaten by Piranhas. We're going to bring in Tidebinder to deal with the Planeswalkers or Gargaroth activations. Mindsinger to steal away their mana dorks. Like I've mentioned in other videos against Green Ramp, I don't like bringing in Tailswipe. It only hits the dorks, whereas Eaten by Piranhas can help deal with the bigger creatures. Bringing in Phyrexian Revokers to help deal with Planeswalkers, and then Sleep for those matches that go to a board stall where they can't quite kill us, but we can all of a sudden hit them for 10, 15, 20 damage out of nowhere. Things that don't matter in the Green Ramp matchup. Silvergill Adept for card advantage, so we cut all of them out. Take out the Shoreline Scouts. They're just a 1-for-1, and as a speed bump, they don't really do much in the early game, and drawing one late game can be the difference between winning and losing. Now we need to cut 3 more cards. Kamena is absolutely necessary in this. We just brought the Mindsingers in. Regeries for tapping are important. We need the Tunnel Guides to help with land, and sometimes pumping up one great big creature can make a big difference. So we end up cutting 3 of the Master of the Pearl Tridents here. This gets us a little down on our collected company hits. I'd love to be a little bit higher than that, but it gives us something to play, just something to keep in mind when we're going to cast that Coco. Let's see what kind of draw we can get game 2. Obviously, we're going to take the play. That is not a great draw. We don't have the blue to cast those Eaten by Piranhas. We could only cast the Hexcatcher in this hand, so we have to pitch it. That's much better. So with 3 lands, do we keep a Revoker? Or do we keep a Hexcatcher? Or do we pitch the Sphelion and count on drawing the land to hit that collected company? I think that's actually the answer. We can counter an early Kiora with a Hexcatcher, and with a Phyrexian Revoker, we can knock them off Karn or Nissa, who shakes the world, depending on their plan. So we're going to keep this and throw away Sphelion. Play the Botanical Sanctum first, in case we draw into other lands that tap later. Not worried about counter magic here. Collected Company is not what we needed, but this does bait a Kiora. So if they go ahead and cast their 3-mana Planeswalker or any other non-creature 3-mana spell, we get to cast Vidalian Hexcatcher. And that's what we're looking for here. Utopia Sprawl doesn't change that math, just changes their devotion later on. Oh, another Utopia Sprawl. It's actually fairly good for us. It gives them the ramp, but the card advantage isn't great. Oh, this is exactly how we hoped this would go. So we're going to counter that Kiora, and he's down to 3 cards. Lots of mana available, but only 3 cards to start. All right, another Cavern of Souls. So that's going to get us to the collected companies. Here we're going to cast Phyrexian Revoker. The card I'm most scared of in this scenario is actually Nissa, who shakes the world. Karn could be an issue. Or do I worry about Karn more? Nissa gives more mana, but lets him turn a forest into a creature. Karn lets him start drawing into options. I think I'm going to go with Karn here. So play the Phyrexian Revoker. Karn the Great Creator. And see if we hit gold. Cavalier of Thorns isn't bad. Didn't hit a Nykthos. Good to know that they've got Grafdigger's Cage. Another Collected Company. All right, so this is going to be a Collected Company heavy game. Let's see what they cast next. Hopefully not another Grafdigger's Cage. That would absolutely wreck us. So here, I'm going to cast a Collected Company and tap down that Cavalier if we need to, or if we hit a Merfolk Trickster. We don't hit a Merfolk Trickster, but 2 Regeries is very interesting. So we're going to put both of those out. That gives us option to turn the corner and go aggressive in future turns, or if we draw Hexcatchers or Tricksters, tap down their board on their turn. Another Cavalier of Thorns, we're totally okay with that. Still no Nykthos. That's actually quite a couple of really lucky hits for us off of those Cavaliers. We've got a decent amount of creatures. We'll play that Breeding Pool tapped because our plan here is Collected Company again. Another Forest. Storm the Festival. They are tapped out, right? I'm not missing any mana. So we're going to cast this here and see if we pull out Vidalian Hexcatcher. We do not. This is not great Coco hits. We'll play those 2 cards, get some more bodies on the board, and he gets away with a Storm the Festival into open mana. And we get away with them having bad hits on that Storm the Festival. So he's attacking for 14 here. I think we need to do some trading. Or do we just chump block with the Tunnel Guide? So if we take 9... from 1 Cavalier in the Old Growth Troll, we go down to 5. I think that's actually fine. The Tidebinder with 1 more Lord gets much more dangerous to those Cavaliers. So let's block that way. Now we're hoping for anything but a land, really. So we got to pass and see what happens on their turn. We've got 6 mana up. So if we hit anything that draws, then that's great. Questing Beast is not a good draw. Haste is nasty. So just checking on our counts. We've got one of our 4 Tidebinders out on the battlefield and none of our Tricksters in our known space. Oh, and a second Tidebinder. So we definitely are casting Collected Company to try and hit Merfolk Tricksters here. And we don't hit any Merfolk Tricksters, but we hit a Kamena and a Svelian. So this is going to give us much better blocks because we can now tap that, tap the team in order to get more toughness on the board. So if we're going to block Elves with the Regeries and Cavaliers and Old Growth Trolls and Questing Beasts with everything else, we want to give ourselves options that they can't kill. So we want to put the potential counter here onto Shanna's Tidebinder. Sleep for next turn. All right, let's see if we can turn this into a win. Okay, so blocking. We're going to block Questing Beast with Svelian so that Svelian does not die. Old Growth Troll. No, sorry. Cavalier of Thorns with Kamena. If at all possible, we don't want to kill a Cavalier of Thorns. They would bring back things from the graveyard. And that's bad. So we will block the Old Growth Troll with Tishana's Tidebinder and the Llanowar Elves with one of the Regeries and the other Llanowar Elf with the other Regery. Good thing I didn't just miss that. So in this scenario, we're going to take 4 damage. I don't think I'm missing anything that allows them to pump. I'm just going to give this a double check. I don't know that I could do anything about it, but I don't want to miss it by accident. All right, we're going to declare our blockers, and then before damage, tap our 5 Merfolk to pump everybody except that Revoker. So they are going to be able to sacrifice that forest to create a troll. Right? That can happen at instant speed. Yeah, it's not activate only at sorcery, so he can get a blocker out. We've got 3 attackers here. Well, really 1, because I can sleep them after combat. Let's get in. We're going to attack with the 3 big guys and see if we can prompt spawning that troll. All right, and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have to tap everything down here and leave that Glasspool Mimic up for next turn. We're going to have to block with one of our Regeries if he spawns the troll off of his land. So they're all locked down for the turn. Do we play this as a land? No, we keep it in hand and make him second guess things. So the thing about Green Ramp is they can draw into some nasty options, depending on what that is. But we're hoping they just hit a land because they run a lot of them. All right, it's a land, I assume. So they saw sleep. That's not always great. It's always best if that's a surprise. So they will know a little bit more to play around it next game. We were lucky to pull that one out after drawing into those Cocos. So we're hoping for a little more straightforward, disruptive hand this game. Not making any changes to the sideboard, though. If we had something that would be a little bit faster on the draw for removal, we would play it, but we don't have those options. All right, this is fine, I think. We're going to play a Glasspool Mimic on turn 1 and then a Sanctum, and then that gives us Hexcatcher and Trickster options and into Tidebinders for more disruption. We're really looking to slow down some planeswalkers with this hand. Glasspool Shore in, open to draw a land. That's not a land, so we're going to put in the Tunnel Guide, get that boon out there so that we can get some help drawing lands next turn if we need it. No blocks there, no point yet. All right, so Questing Beast on the table. I think we're actually going to play Breeding Pool and Trickster the Questing Beast to prevent it from attacking next turn. Let's see what they play before combat. Nothing, so we'll toss in a Trickster, try and pump up the Tunnel Guide. Cenote Scout, we're going to pitch. We need a land or bust here. We can double block. We only lose one of these 2 creatures. Keeps their devotion and they get to generate mana, but at least gets creatures off the table. We're hoping to draw into a land here. Then next turn we can Trickster and Hexcatcher. That is not a land. Let's see if it can go get us one. All right, we got a land off that. Tidebinder, we've got a bunch in hand already, so we're going to pitch. So we're going to Trickster the Questing Beast again. Or do we let the Questing Beast get in? Can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less. Yeah, we have to Trickster the Questing Beast. All right, another land isn't bad. We're going to chump with the Cenote Scout here. Try and keep our life total high enough that we can buy time against their beefy creatures. All right, they've got all the mana in the world for next turn. So I think here I have to play the Rege, and then I'm going to use casting the Hexcatcher to tap down the Questing, or probably the Cavalier of Thorns actually, because our Tricksters are going to be big enough to trade with the Questing Beast. See how this goes. They're going to be able to cast at least one of those Storm the Festivals, and that's not going to be good for us. All right, Karn the Great Creator, and he's got 6, 7, 8 mana still available. That's not great. Let's hope he pulls something greedy that we're able to counter with the Hexcatcher. Two more to cast, so that'll put all of our 3-drops into 5s. Well, maybe it does something. All right, so we're going to tap down the Cavalier of Thorns here, and if he wants to attack with that Questing Beast, he's going to take. He's going to trade for a Merfolk Trickster. I don't think they're going to want to do that. All right, we will absolutely trade that. Another Sprawl isn't too bad. All right, so if we play the Breeding Pool, on his turn, if he activates the Karn, we can Tidebinder it and tap the Cavalier of Thorns. It's a little awkward if he attacks before activation. But we have the mana to cast it, so let's give that a shot. Alright, we'll Reach, tap down the main attacker, disable the Karn, and then we have to live through Storm the Festival. If everybody lives, we have the option to hit that triggered ability on the end step of that God Pharaoh statue and remove the extra 2 cost for things. Kiora is not terrible for us. Could be considerably worse. He has no more mana available because he didn't use Kiora in advance. So we'll sacrifice a Merfolk Trickster to get one of those Storm the Festivals. And we've got enough damage on the board to kill that Kiora. Unless he's got something to do with that 3 mana. Llanowar Tribe. Options here. I think we're going to attack with the Tishana's Tidebinder and make him chump that with that Llanowar Tribe, or risk me just destroying the Kiora if I have another Lord. Alright, you can untap something once, and that's all. Storm the Festival. He's still got 6 mana up, so we have to let that resolve. Alright, we've got the trigger on Kiora. We are going to Coco here, or are we? No, I think we're going to Tidebinder. Hit the Kiora, tap the Cavalier of Thorns again. Disable the Planeswalker. He only has the 2/3/3s to attack with. Another Mutavault, and we've got a Coco up. I don't think we can attack into that Elder Gargaroth. And we've hit a lot of Tidebinders and 2 Tricksters, so we're in rough shape for the Collected Company next turn. We can't prepay for the Kamena. We pay 5. We can untap 1 land and we'll only have 3 available, which doesn't do us what we need. And we have both of his Planeswalkers disabled, so we'll see what his plan is. Ronus the Indomitable doesn't have haste, but can pump things. So I think if he starts pumping or activating anything, we just go for the Coco. Do we let the Gargaroth attack here getting its trigger? I think we do. We can threaten a pretty good block and maybe kill it. All right. This is going to be the moment to see what we hit. So we hit a Tidebinder and a Reach, I think is the play. Yeah, I think that's right. Do we Glasspool a Tidebinder or do we Tidebinder a Tidebinder? I don't think it matters. Unless we happen to shuffle through the whole deck, then the Tidebinder is more relevant. Technically, this is a better play, though I can't imagine it makes a difference, really, in the overall effectiveness of the deck. So we've got 7 life to play with, but we have to keep an eye on the 1 life we're going to take. So we cannot take 6. We don't get to kill the Gargaroth for free. We don't want to lose this Tidebinder. Don't really want it. We can lose this Tidebinder, though. Okay. So we're going to trade that for the Gargaroth. We're going to block Llanowar. Elvish Mystic's an easy decision. I think we take 3 and trade. What's in the graveyard? Yeah, that's not too bad as far as trading off a Cavalier of Thorns. We're going to hit time soon, aren't we? Who do we care about? Yeah, we'll lose the Tidebinder that is keeping Kiora down. Should be fine for this turn. All right, here we go. Let's see how this works out. Oh no, I forgot Ronus is an instant speed activation, and that's going to lose me the game. He's only got 1 activation on it, but that's still going to be enough, right? No, I've got blockers on everybody, so he should pump at least one of the Llanowar tribes, yeah, and that'll kill the Reach. And do a lot, yeah, wipe my board. So it's my board's down, his board's down, and he's got a Ronus the Indomitable, but 2 planeswalkers left. Ronus can't attack or block because he doesn't have the creatures right now. And he's got a Questing Beast on top of Library. I know I've got a Kumena. Is he going to make the God Pharaoh statue a creature? Let's see how we do. Okay, we got a Mutavault. Oh, we don't like that auto tapper. So, green, blue. We got to go kill that Karn so he can't wish for something relevant. In we come with Mutavault. He's got a Questing Beast that I'm going to have to... Nope, I think he's got the game. And that's going to be the match. Well, he's drawing cards too, but that turns his Ronus on, and I can only block with 1 thing. Maybe I should have let him Karn, but I can't imagine I was going to win that if he was able to pull something out of the board either. That was a fun match. All right, and that's the game versus a green ramp deck. A little bit creature heavy, and that paid off, overwhelming my ability to get bigger and beefier than their big beefy board.